What's going on, guys? Welcome back to ETB Boxing, where we tell the story behind every punch and every fight. Today we're talking about Timothy Bradley, the Desert Storm as we know him, a former unified light welterweight and WBO welterweight champion. For some, Bradley has been the subject of some controversial takes. Others respect it. Recently, Bradley released a video titled "Crawford is the better athlete." And for many, if not the majority of boxing fans, that's a hard point to argue against. So today we're going to react to Bradley's thoughts. We're just 2 weeks away from fight night, and Bradley is breaking down why he believes Terence Bud Crawford is the better athlete. Let's listen to what the former champ has to say.
Yo, Tim Desert Storm Bradley, you already know the rest. Yeah, it's early in the morning and I just had my snack. I'm on my walk. Yup, oh boy, got a lot to talk about. Yep, 2 weeks before the championship fight, man. 2 weeks. Yeah, hey, what goes on in these 2 weeks, it matters. Yeah, you know, this is usually the week where both fighters start to taper. They start to taper. Y'all know anything about tapering? You know, everything speeds up, but hey, less work. Speed up the process. On that bad work, you really laying into it, man. You putting everything out there, right? But, you know, instead of doing like 4 or 5 rounds or something on the bag, you know what I'm saying? You might do 2 to 3, you know, 2 to 3. But the intensity picks up. Yeah, it's that taper, man. You know, you just working on that quickness and reflexes and stuff, man, and not really putting a whole lot of load on your body. You're pulling back from the load, but you want the quickness and the speed, and you want that power to be on point. So, yeah, that's what's going on in both guys' camps this week. Sparring is probably the most important thing during this time, you know. Sparring partners, you got to be careful. You know, the next week is the fight. So when you in there sparring, you got to be cautious. You got to be on your P's and Q's, right? But the sparring partners you have is important too, because they can't be beating you up. Not this week. Can't be beating you up this week, 1. 2, you got to be careful because cuts, you can get cut, elbow, if it starts getting rough in there, elbows and things are getting thrown. You know, you got to be cautious, man. You know, so sparring partners, they got to know they know their job. But at the same time, they can't hurt the champ. They can't hurt the champ, man. They got to do the best job they possibly can without hurting the champ. But yeah, it's basically, hey, going over the game plan inside the ring. You know, while you're sparring, you're staying sharp.
You know, I wonder if that only applies to the last 2 weeks of not being able to hurt the champ. I wonder if throughout training camp, they actually go all the way 100%, and not in order to get Terence Crawford to use to the power. I'm curious about that. I don't know if any of y'all have some insights, any boxers that watch the channel, but if that's a thing, it'd be nice to share it to the channel that, yeah, in your comments, we do go full throttle, or there's always a little bit of tapering throughout the whole training camp. Let us know.
Inside the ring, you being a champion, you know, going into the fight, you're staying sharp, you're working on everything that, you know, you expecting that's going to happen in the fight. There's a possibility it's going to happen in the fight, you know. So, like, for instance, Terence Crawford, he got to get ready for that left hook, you know, making sure the sparring partners are throwing those left hooks at him, you know. You might even get a little, hey, you land a left hook, you might even get a little bonus. Every left hook you land on him, you know. You never know. That's what I used to do. You know, shoot, hey, $100 for every right hand you land, you know, especially if my opponent is good with his right hand, you know, $100, because that's going to make me disciplined. You know, it hurts when they hit their pockets. It hurts. You know, you're going to be disciplined. You definitely going to be disciplined if you paying. That's for damn sure. You're going to make sure you don't get hit with no right hand. But anyways, yeah, man, I was thinking, man, like, a lot of people is making a fuss about Crawford being out of the ring for over a year, you know. I'm not putting too much stock into that, man. I'm not really, you know. Floyd Mayweather's came back from after a year. Shoot, I remember John Jones, 3 years out of the game, you know. And I know it's a different sport, but it's still combat sports. 3 years out of the game, came back, faced the champion, beat him. Beat the champion, you know. Crawford took the time to really build his body up, man. the way he needed to build it up. And I like his build because just looking at pictures and stuff like that, man, he put a lot of the weight on his legs. That's.
So here's what I would say to Timothy Bradley. The names that he's mentioning, Floyd Mayweather, John Jones, these guys are freaks of nature. They are super athletic. Now, for all the Crawford fans, I'm not saying that Crawford doesn't have the capacity to have that same DNA or to be able to do those, take a year off and then physically be able to come back and be so good to beat the champion. That's what we're going to see in this fight. Huge comparisons to Mayweather and John Jones as far as athleticism is concerned, to put Crawford in that group of elite physicality and athleticism. We will see in the fight if he can. We don't know that yet. So I would say to Tim Bradley, that's what we're going to find out. We don't know if he has that capacity. Let's continue to watch.
It's going to help with stability. That's going to help with punching power. It's going to help with his ability to be able to take a shot too. He get razzled and dazzled in there from one of them big shots from Canelo. He going to have some stability. He going to have a base to be able to keep himself up. I always say, partly to be able to take a punch. I say, it's a lot to do with physical. It also has a lot to do with mental, and it also has a lot to do with genetics. Some guys can take it more than others. That's just it. Some guys can take it more than others, man. But I would say we all feel like the same thing when we do get hit with a big shot. You hear that ringing in your ears. That's your brain bouncing around off that skull. Bouncing around off that skull. Some part of you get numb, especially if it's a big shot. Your legs might get numb, your arm might get numb. I remember when I got knocked on my behind against Kendall Holt, man, my right leg went numb. Yeah, I felt pain on my right arm, big scrape on my arm too, because the way I felt, all awkwardly. I felt ringing in my head. The ringing was about maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds, because I still felt the ringing after, when I was when the referee had counted, to 8, and I got up and and continued to fight. I still felt a little ringing there, but I didn't have my footing. That's one thing. My leg was a bit numb. And I would say it was numb for about probably the rest of the round. It was towards the end of the round, so I was able to get back to my corner and survive. Although I didn't have the best balance. But hey, I disguised it very well. You got to make sure when you get hurt, you tie up. You got to tie up. That's what the referee's looking for. That's what your corner's looking for. Looking for step in and tie up. But anyways, got off on a little tangent right there. So Crawford has been working.
So in regards to building your legs as a base, I put out a video where Jim Lampley was talking about Canelo's like for horse riding, and that's a lower body exercise because everything that he does in the boxing is upper exercise, and that could be the secret to why it's hard or why no one's ever been able to knock down Canelo Alvarez. And Timothy Bradley saying something a little bit similar here, that he likes what he sees with Terence Crawford's body. He's putting a lot of it in his legs, and if that's true, that is going to help Crawford really be able to take the punch of Canelo, because people are going to get hit in this fight, guys. They're going to exchange blows. And, there could be, both people can get hurt, I think. Terence Crawford is strong, and the punch you don't see is the punch that hurts you. So we'll see. I don't think Canelo's ever been blindsided with anything with a lot of force. I don't think I've seen it, but that's what Bradley's talking about the base being built. If that's true, it's going to be in Crawford's benefit to have that base along with his wrestling background. I think that's helpful too.
Working for this for the last year. He's been building. If you know anything about Team Crawford, man, and just anything about Crawford in general, he's probably one of the most disciplined athletes in the entire world. He's a guy that stays in the gym year round. Never dull. Another guy Boots stays in the gym quite a bit too. He does. I hear that from everybody. He's always in the gym. Crawford's the same way. He's a gym rat. Stays in the gym, always constantly doing something, sharpening his tools, working on his craft all the time, keeping a good weight. Crawford, in between camps, he'll probably go up about 20-something pounds, but it don't look bad on him. It doesn't look bad on him. When I had ran into him earlier, before this fight even was announced, I would ask him, I'm like, how much you weigh? About 175. Not crazy, not crazy. Nah, but he still looked good. It was a 175 in shape. It was a 175 in shape. Like, this dude can go run up and down the court, play basketball, He can go out there and play football if he wanted to go play football, Like, he's an athlete, a natural athlete, man. And the crazy part about this is that when I fought Manny Pacquiao, I was a hell of an athlete, man. I could do it all. But when I fought Pac, the difference, it wasn't like because of his speed and power. Like, that was part of it, but it was more so like he was just a better athlete. Just stronger, just a better athlete. That's just what it was. That was the major difference. Seriously, And I'm thinking about this fight, and I'm thinking, Crawford is a major athlete, man. He's physically strong. I know Canelo is brute strong, right? Bull strong. But I don't think he's a better athlete than Crawford. I think that's where Crawford has an advantage right there, is because, he's coming from the lower weight classes. And so he's going to have his speed. He's going to have some pop on his shots as well. Like I told you, his build is right, technique, his timing is on point. Timing is going to be a big part of this, man. Timing, yes. Yep, and his defense, both guys' defense going to have to be on point, because I think both guys going to have the ability to hurt each other.
I think Terence Crawford's defense, both their defense is going to have to be on point. But I think out of the two fighters, the one that risks getting hurt is Terence Crawford. Going back to Bradley and Pacquiao, sure, Manny Pacquiao was the better athlete, but he was also the smaller athlete. So there's some between those two in that fight. There's some. Manny Pacquiao is just a freak of nature. Yes, Paulie Malignaggi, he has his own theories. But also Bradley wasn't known to pack a whole bunch of power either. So what if Bradley did have some power and, he was known as a knockout puncher? That fight might have been a little bit different. I think Manny Pacquiao would have beat him anyway. But back to his point. Yes, I believe Terence Crawford is a better athlete. For all you Canelo fans, you probably don't want to hear that. You probably don't want to accept it. But most of the boxing community is going to say that Crawford, he's a freak, man. He's a freak of nature. He's a great athlete. How good of an athlete he is, we don't know. Now, I don't agree with Tim Bradley's assessment that he's been putting on the weight right. We don't know that. He's a boxer. He has more insight, but we don't know how his body's going to react in a 12-round, 168-pound championship fight. We don't know. We're going to find out if he has some of that crazy John Jones get off 3 years and come back. But then John Jones was some stuff too, so who knows what's going on there. Let's continue watching Tim break down, why Crawford is a better athlete and the advantages of that.
They really do, man. I'm not counting Crawford out just because he, everybody feels he's a light ass and he can't punch. No, Crawford has the ability to catch him as he's coming in and hurt him. He does. Yes, uppercuts as well. So, but anyways, back to the athlete. It's something about, man, it's like everything is sharper, with these athletes that are just freak athletes, and Crawford is a freak athlete, man. Everything's just sharper. Every movement that they make is stronger. They're able to stay focused. For some apparent reason, man, top athletes are able to stay focused, Stay focused. And that's Crawford. Laser focus. Never having his eye off of what he needs to do. Constantly thinking 24/7. Even when there's heat coming at him, he's thinking, It's just a different athlete, man, out there. He's just different. I think that's going to be a huge factor in the fight. I do. Crawford is the better athlete. He is. He can do a lot more besides boxing. I don't know if Canelo can do that. You know, it's like Pacquiao. Pacquiao, he likes to play, you know, basketball and stuff. You know, he's pretty good at basketball, they say. You know, I mean, I've seen a couple of clips of him shooting the ball and stuff. But, you know, when you're able to play multiple sports, Crawford wrestled, Crawford played football, Crawford boxed, man, you are a hell of an athlete. Yes. You know, and then you already know colleges, that's what they like. You know, they don't, the person that just does one sport, they're like, okay, you're good at that sport, but like, can you play anything else? We want to know, how big is your athlete?
Yeah, I agree with Tim. He is, like I told you in the other piece that I was speaking about, he is a better athlete, guys. That's the bottom line. But also, no one's spoken about this. Crawford is not a young guy. Everybody says Canelo's older, boxing-wise, whatever, fine. But 39 years old in boxing is old. 39, 40 is old. The only people that are really able to overcome that physicality or the age factor is Bernard Hopkins. Maybe Crawford is a Bernard Hopkins type. It can fight up to 45 years old and still be impressive. I think Bernard Hopkins had a different style of fighting and he was able to get away with it. He didn't take a lot of punishment. We'll see. Maybe putting a lot of stress on that body at that age could reflect some things, but maybe he's a freak. He's a really freaky athletic guy, and that's not even going to matter. Again, that's where we're going to watch this fight to have all those questions answered, guys. That's where we're going to watch this fight. That's why it's getting exciting 2 weeks out. It's building up, and, you know, Tim's making some pretty good points here.
You know, how big, how athletic are you? You know, because if you can play any other sport, that means that you are damn athletic. You know what I'm saying? You cream of the crop. That's for damn sure, and we want you. So anyways, that was all my thoughts, man. I'm not really worried and phased about the 1 year off. There's a lot of examples out there where guys have coming off a year. John Jones, 3 years, came off. You know what I'm saying? And beat the heavyweight champion of the world. You know, and changed weight classes too. Yep. I think he was like 250 something pounds. You know, John Jones put on a lot of weight because of technique, because of skill set, because of IQ. You know, like all of these things, man, play into, you know, a fight. It does. It's not just about brute strength and power. And let's talk about Canelo. Canelo is a smart fighter. Canelo is very intelligent too. He's not a dumb fighter. You know, Canelo is a defensive first type of fighter too. Yes, he's a defense first type of fighter. He's not gonna go out there and just throw punches. No, he's gonna try to place his shots. That's what he's gonna try to do, and he does his place his shots very well. You know, and another thing, Canelo is one of those guys. He understands because he has a lot of experience, right? He understands that just coming just straightforward is not going to get it done. He knows he got to give Crawford different looks. He knows that. Why do you think one thing that I see him working on is the straight right hand. You know, a lot of times he likes to loop right hands, but he's been working on straight right hands. Another thing that I see with his training is he's working on angles. You know, he's trying to give different looks and give an element of surprise, you know, because Canelo is an athlete too. Yeah, man, you go back and remember when who was it? Jose Suleiman, man, years ago. But when Canelo was young, he said, we got a guy that's coming up. It's going to be one of the best fighters in the world, if not the best in the world. His name is Canelo Alvarez. Well, he was right. He was absolutely right. Yes, Canelo is an athlete too. I don't think his athlete is bigger than Crawford's athlete, but he's a damn good athlete, man. And I remember back in the days, man, Canelo, when he used to move that head, move them feet. Man, if Canelo can bring back some of that, you know, because he's kind of got in this little rut and this little habit, the way he's been trained. Oh, he can make the fight even more difficult. Yes. If he brings some of that back in the ring, changing his rhythm, bouncing on his toes, boxing a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Staying slick, bringing Crawford to, man, yeah. I mean, come on, there's more than one way to skin a cat. It's just not about pressure. It's not just about pressure with Crawford. No, because Crawford is the type of fighter that will read you. And if you do things consecutively over and over, he's going to figure it out and he's going to set a trap for you. He is. You know, when I sparred him years ago, that's what it was. You know, He didn't have nobody in this damn corner telling him anything. You know, what he did on Tuesday, he did something different on fucking Thursday. Excuse my French. Something different on Thursday. He ain't had no coach or nothing. It was something that he processed sitting there at the hotel just chilling by himself and going over the fight in his mind. This dude got a photographic memory. He do. He remembered. Oh, he did this? Okay, I got something for that. Oh, he did this? I got something for that. He ain't had nobody in this corner. No, Crawford was in the corner by himself. People were just giving him water. He would walk to my corner to get water and go back in his corner. That was the difference. That's why I keep telling you guys. That's why I'm so high on him, is because like he came there by himself. He had no trainer. He was in the camp with me by himself, and he was able to figure it out. That's a different level of a fighter. That's why I'm telling y'all, he's going to figure this out. Yes, he is. He's going to figure this out, and he's going to win this fight. This dude is a winner. Trust me. Anytime I stepped and raised my game up, so did he. And I'm like, yo, who this rookie? This rookie ain't no damn spar partner. Every time I turn it up, he turn it up. Every time I turn it up, he turn it up a notch. I was like, can't nobody stand my pace. This dude stood my pace and mold. And I'm like, oh, this dude different. Yeah, I ain't never been in the ring with nobody like this dude.
Well, you know, I think some of the punches that Crawford could catch Canelo to hurt him are punches where, remember when Marquez or Manny Pacquiao just went into Marquez and Marquez finally timed him? I think if Canelo would fight in that way, Crawford could definitely hurt him. I don't think he's going to do that. I don't know what opportunities Crawford is going to have to hurt Canelo. I think he's going to have to box him. I don't think he's going to finish him or TKO. If he does that, that'll be crazy. But yes, Canelo is an athlete as well. Bradley thinks he's going to win. I mean, a lot of people believe that too. I just don't know whether he has a better IQ. He's a better athlete. How is his body going to hold up when he gets hit? Because he will get hit. I'm very curious about that. And that's, I think, the part of the equalizing formula here is that if he can't take that punishment, all those other factors, I'm not sure matters.
Yeah. Yep. Never been in the ring with nobody like this. So that's why I'm so high on him, man. He's not just family. This dude, I'm telling y'all, man.
Yeah, but Crawford hasn't been with anyone with Canelo either at that weight class. So you got to balance the perspective a little there, Timothy.
Say what you want to say. I see a lot of y'all say, oh, you a C- fighter, Tim. You a C- fighter in the Hall of Fame. Damn it, I'm doing damn good then. Yeah, I'm doing absolutely great in the Hall of Fame, sitting with those dudes. I don't know if I'm sitting. I'm in the room. I'm in the party. I'm mingling. I ain't gonna lie. I'm mingling with them. You know, I ain't at that table with Ali. You know what I'm saying? But I went over there and said, what's up, Ali? How you doing, baby? You know what I'm saying? But anyways, yeah, I was a bad boy. I was already a unified world champion when I sparred Crawford. Yeah. So, I brought the pain. I was sending everybody home. Yeah, when he came, shit, he was like, I ain't going home. Oh, yeah. And he was by himself.
Yeah, but Timothy, you didn't have world beater punch. You didn't have murder risk punching power. He was a really good, nice fighter, but he wasn't one of those guys that could make you think twice if you came in.
Anyway, Joe, that's my thoughts, man. For real, I can't wait for this fight, man. I can't wait. I told everybody about Spence. Everybody about Spence. I told y'all. And I'm telling you guys right now about Canelo Alvarez, man. I know this mountain is big. Hey, but if I know somebody that can climb it, yep, and parachute down that mug, it's Terence Bud Crawford. Anyways, that's my time. And I'm out.
Well, there you have it. Timothy Bradley drilling down on his pick that Crawford is going to beat Canelo Alvarez because he's a better athlete. It seems he's saying that Crawford has a better boxing IQ by I don't know how much. Basically, I don't hear him really equalizing Canelo's IQ, so I'm thinking he thinks it's a lot greater. And that Crawford is a winner and that he could figure this puzzle out. I think you can figure a puzzle out is one thing, but then having to execute it, knowing that there's stuff coming back at you, that's the question. And I will stand behind my perspective on this fight. If Crawford his body can hold up, not about taking the punch, because Crawford has the defense to, block and so on, but can his body take the physicality of it, the body punches, the hits on the elbows, all that. And Crawford is hittable, and so is Canelo. I think Crawford is more hittable than Canelo. That's my personal opinion. What do you guys think? Do you think athleticism is going to be a factor in this? Is it going to be the boxing IQ? Is it going to be Canelo's power or what? Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Anyway, thanks for stopping by to the channel. If you enjoyed the content, click like and subscribe. Let's help build this channel. That's the punch. That's the story. And that's ETB Boxing.